What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We've got another Commander deck patron purchase. It is for Dan the Man. Dan the Man says, "Let's go mono black, Mr. T." And I love going mono black. You guys know me by now. It's close to my heart. Close to my heart. So, um, basically, we're building Dan mono black here, and the thought is we want to be able to put Sheoldred into this deck. So he's got a friend who hasn't built Sheoldred, and he's been wanting to for a while. So we built a lot of that concept into this deck. Looked for cards that were really gonna synergize with that draw trigger. So let's get right into it. In the meantime, if you don't have Sheoldred, we're gonna play Shadowheart Dark Justicar, and along with that, whoa, dude, cards just started breakdancing. All right. So along with that, we're going to be playing the background. You guys know I don't know anything about backgrounds. I've never built a background deck, but when I saw this combo, I was just like, ooh, this is perfect. So, Agent of the Iron Throne. Commander creatures you own have whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses one life. That's actually sick. I don't know if you guys have realized, but Wizards in the past year or two has really ramped up treasure tokens, and that is just bonkers. There's so many things you could do with this. You could definitely go. I don't know of any semi-infinite combos for creating treasure tokens, or just black mono black ways to make a ton of treasure tokens at once. I'm sure they're out there. I would say that would be one way to really look more into this deck to improve it, but we've done a good job of creating some tokens. Anyways, Shadowheart Dark Justicar is gonna 2-tap and sack another creature, and you're gonna draw X cards where X is that creature's power. Pretty good. So that's gonna pair up nicely with that Agent of the Iron Throne. We're gonna get double triggers on the draw and sacrifice. Alright, so per usual, beautiful lands, foiled out. Also included some foundation lands that we recently pulled. And other than that, Dungeon Descent. We're gonna venture into the dungeon. I just like, I don't know, something about the dungeon. Plus, there's lots of creature token creation in dungeons. There's a lot of actual treasure token creation in dungeons, so it's gonna synergize pretty nicely. Drannith Ruins, we're going to put two 1/1 counters on target non-human creature in a battlefield. It's going to be good for late game when we have extra mana to spend. Their mono black is just full of so many non-human creatures. Takenuma Abandoned Mire, just such a good freaking land. I mean, absolutely bonkers. Hive of the Eye Tyrant, I love this land. It does enter tapped, but 3/3 Black Beholder, and then when it attacks, you're going to exile target card from defending player's graveyard. Nice removal there. It has Menace too, which is Cottage. Let's go camera. So enters battlefield tap unless you control 3 or more other swamps, and then if it when it enters battlefield untapped, you can put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Nice little bring back there. Rogue's Passage. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, especially if you're playing with Sheoldred. If you can get Sheoldred pumped up, I mean, you've got some commander damage right there that could be very nice late game. Especially if you're just continuously pinging away at people. Sheoldred's just a beast in his own. Field of Ruin, we're playing mono, so let's get rid of other people's colors. Nesting Grounds, we can move some counters from target permanents to other permanents. And the only thing is we're only going to be activated as a sorcery, but we do have a ton of counter generation in this deck. Roadside Reliquary, going to be a draw engine. Alright, we're going to have enchantments out, we're going to have artifacts. Nice card, going to synergize very nicely there. Mortuary Mired, we're going to bring back some Graveyard Recursion right there. Same thing, Hidden Necropolis, we're going to discover. I thought that was pretty interesting to throw into this late game. Just throw out Discover 4. Terramorphic Expanse, we're going to clear up some lands. Volatile Volt, so sacrifice it, destroy target non-basic land. And we're playing mono. Let's get rid of some non-basics. Urza's Workshop. Add 1 for each Urza's land you control. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So I actually think I'm going to swap this out. I originally was able to put 2 other Urza's lands in here. I was not able to put the third one in there. So I'll probably swap that out for another basic. Nice little full foil basic. something like that. Good old Lord of the Rings and just some other full outs. Ooh, oh man. Yo, March of the Machine. I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite black lands. Like, oh man, that looks so good. So friggin' nice. Anyways, if you guys made it this far, hopefully you did, because we're just getting started. I have a new mic. It's new HyperX, so headset. Let me know in the comments below how the volume's coming out. I did a video the other day. I felt like the volume was really, really low. I even had to throw it into editing software to try and boost the volume. I still felt it came out low. Turns out the mic input is just, it's really, really not sensitive at all. Like, the mic's like, I barely can't even squeeze my finger between the actual microphone and my mouth. So, anyways, let me know. We're going to get right into it. Ruin his path for 3. We can also awaken it later if in the game if we do have that option where we can just pump up a land to make it a 4/4 creature. Fleshbag, Marauder. I feel like it just wouldn't be mono black if we didn't put this in there. I mean, he's just going to be so good, especially if we can get him back onto the battlefield from the graveyard. We're going to be able to make people sacrifice creatures over and over. Really good against single commanders, you know, Trons, where people are loading up and they only have one creature. It's freaking awesome, so it's going to make them sacrifice. Nice way to clear up when things have hexproof, you know, indestructible. Sacrifice is going to get right around that. Alright, Viscera Seer, another great mono black card. You're going to sacrifice a creature to scry one. It's just, especially if you have good token generation, it's going to be very nice. Alright, we've got the Skierstag High Priest. Oh my gosh. And Innistrad's getting remastered coming up, so it'll be interesting to see some cards maybe from around this block get reprinted. But this is a good one. I mean, I like this card. So we're going to tap it and tap 2 untapped creatures we control. We're going to put a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. We can only do this if a creature died. Mono black is just has so many sacrifice outlets, so we're not really worried about that. Honestly, if we put the right token generation cards in here, we could do this every single turn very easily. So I like this one. Who doesn't like a 5/5 flying demon every single turn? Alright, Urborg Scavengers. This is a cool little spirit. So whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you're going to exile a card from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 on him. He is flying as long as a card exile has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, and so on. I just thought this was such a nifty little card. It reminds me of the Saint of Ulrich, except it's only going to apply to himself, and it's going to give you some... It's going to allow you to clear up other people's graveyards. So the deck isn't really focused around playing cards from other people's graveyards. So it's going to be really nice to remove things from our opponent's graveyard so they just don't have the ability to recur or to just right back to the battlefield. Astorian's Thirst. We're going to instant and exile a target creature. Then we're going to put X +1/+1 counters on a commander creature you control, where X is the power of the creature exiled this way. One, it's great to get around indestructible, and it's going to pump up our commander. So maybe somebody's been focusing on something and they made it really, really big, and we're just like, it doesn't have hexproof. Exiled. Oh, my Sheoldred. He's going to get your +20/20 that you're about to just crush me with. I mean, that sounds great to me. Conti, Lord of Luxury. This in itself is a fun commander. When he enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library. You get to exile one of them face down, and then put the rest on a library randomly. And as long as that card remains exiled, you can look at it and cast it. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast it. I just love the concept of stealing people's cards and continuously doing that. So, especially if you do like wild things, no legendary rule, you go myriad. You just start doing this constantly. It just gets so fun. And there are a few other cards that go along very nicely. One of just got printed. So I might have to revisit that deck in the future. That's one I actually still have. And it gets very nice. Alright, March of Wretched Sorrow. As additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of black cards from your hand. Yada yada yada. You guys pretty much should know what this card does at this point. And it's going to deal X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. Honestly, if we don't have Sheoldred out on the battlefield, this deck has a ton of life loss. So a little bit of extra life gain, lifelink is actually going to come in handy. Remorseless punishment. Target opponent. Yes, this is a punishing card. They're going to lose 5 life unless that player discards 2 cards or sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and then they're going to repeat that process. All right. So we are 100% going after that mono blue player. There can be only one soul transfer. All right. Choose one if you control an artifact or an enchantment, which we probably will. We're going to be able to cast this spell and choose both instead. So we're going to exile a creature or planeswalker, and then we're going to return a creature or planeswalker from our graveyard to our hand. Cut of the Prophets. Alright, causality 3. So as you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 3 or greater. When you do, you're going to copy it. And you're going to draw X cards and lose X life. Well, I mean, if we have Sheoldred out and we do this, that's not going to be a huge deal. We're going to gain back half of that life anyways. Actually, we're going to gain back double that life, and we're going to gain half the life of whatever we draw. So, alright, Mari the Killing Quill. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it with a hit counter on it. So this is another, goes right along with just making sure that we're going to sacrifice off our opponent's creatures. And then whenever we do those, this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a hit counter from a card that player owns in exile. And then we're going to draw and create 2 treasure tokens. So we're really going after making our opponent's creatures die, either via sacrifice or just directly killing them, and then we're going to get that additional draw and treasure tokens. Great value. Marauding Blight Priest. Alright, whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Alright, so every time we draw a card, everybody's losing life. I love it. Love it. Vampire Nighthawk. Huge fan of this card. I mean, for such a long time, this was a powerhouse. Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink. It's a 3-drop for 2/3. If you can manage to pump this up, like it stacks up. It really can start to add up. Exsanguinate, one of my favorite cards. I think I talked about this when we pulled it. So each opponent's going to lose X life. You're going to gain life equal to the life loss this way. It's just such a nice value card in Commander where you have multiple opponents. Similar to Reign of Hellfire, which had to go look that one up. Had been a while since I actually looked at that. Crazy enough, it's at like $15. I remember when that thing was like $1. Whew. Crazy how some cards explode over time. Hero's Downfall. We're going to destroy target creature or planeswalker. Reassembling Skeleton. This is going to be a great sack outlet that we can just return from our graveyard to our battlefield. So if we have abilities like the Visceral Seer, we can just use our Reassembling Skeleton, sack it off, go scry, and then we're like, I got 2 leftover mana, not really doing anything. We're going to return it from our graveyard to the battlefield. Rinse, wash, repeat. Midnight Snack. This is a great card. Oh my gosh. So, raid. At the beginning of your instep, if you attack this turn, create a food token. Sacrifice this enchantment. Target opponent loses X life, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. I mean, it can really add up. And if you could turn this into, if you could create more copies of Midnight Stack, or just even keep playing it, this would probably go great in a Esper, probably Esper enchantment deck where you could recur this very, very easily. But still, it's going to work great here. Those food tokens are going to be really what we're after, because we want to be able to sacrifice those artifacts to get value. Alright, Shakedown Heavy. Shakedown Heavy is just a cool card, right? So when he attacks, the defending player may have you draw a card. If they do, you're going to untap him and root for combat. So we're going to get, they're either going to take 6 damage, or we're going to be able to draw a card. I mean, value. Plus, with our temporary commander of Shadowheart, we can actually just sacrifice it. He's got 6 power. We're going to draw 6 cards. Yara's Oathsworn. So whenever she deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 +1/+1 counters on it, you're going to put a +1 on it. And then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 counters, you can search your library for a card, put it onto your hand, and then shuffle. Let's see. So we do have a card to go along with this quite nicely. Let's go ahead and take a look at it right here. Ooh, Ashnod's Altar. Oh no, did we? I think we actually ended up swapping it out. I think I went for a different card. Alright, so I did. But still gonna be nice to go fetch us. Now there is an artifact card where you can actually remove counters and move them to other. Oh no, that was Nesting Ground. Perfect. Alright, we also put an artifact in there that does the same exact thing. So real quick, we'll go look at Nesting Grounds. Alright, so move a counter from target permanent you control onto another target permanent. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to get Ayara's Oathsworn up to 4, remove a counter, move it over, and then we're going to swing again, and we're going to continue to just be able to go fetch, right? Fantastic way to get recurring fetch for cheap value. Alright. Archpriest of Shadows. So backup 1, Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, it's going to give us value. Graveyard Recursion. Beautiful. So then we can just go re-sacrifice things away. Menace, Lifelink. We've got Sanguine Spy here. For 1, we can sacrifice another creature. We can look at the top card of our library. And then at the beginning of your end step, if there are 5 more mana values among cards in your graveyard, you may pay 2 life if you do draw a card. So we're basically just going to pay that 2 life, and we're going to get it right back if we're playing Sheoldred. Lord of the Forsaken. So easy stack outlet here. Sacrifice another creature. Target player mills 3 cards. If we have a ton of token generation, this is going to be great. I mean, you could even just turn this into a mill deck. Get him out onto the battlefield. You also have a few spells that you can cast from the graveyard, so you can pay that 1 life, add mana, and then go ahead and cast spells from your graveyard. There are also plenty of cards that you can add in where you're able to cast things from your graveyard, and you can also, there are some sickening infinite combos around zombies and Liliana, where you can basically ultimate off to get infinite casts from your graveyard by just casting zombies for 0. So, Unlicensed Hearse. We're going to exile some of our opponent's graveyards cards away, and then it's going to get power equal to the number of cards exiled. Again, we're not going after our opponent's graveyards, so this is going to be a great way to make sure that they're not playing stuff from their own graveyards. Sangromancer. This was one of those cards that I would also put in like every single black deck. I mean, it has so much value. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. It was just great life gain. It's also got flying. It's 3/3, and it's only a 4-drop. So, really nice there. Alright, Yahini, Undying Partisan. So haste, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you're going to +1 him. And then you can give him indestructible by sacrificing another creature. Really good there if you need a sacrifice outlet. You don't have one on the battlefield, but you have things that are going to trigger by sacrificing. So it's really nice there. You can do that at instant speed. If somebody's going to exile something, you can save it from getting exiled. All nice things to come. Gisa, the Glorious Resurrector. Alright, if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. I mean, come on guys, this could be its own commander. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exiled with Gisa, Glorious Resurrector onto the battlefield. Under your control, they gain Decayed. Such a good card if they have ETBs that are really, really good and you want to go after those ETB triggers, and you're going to be stealing things from other people. I just like stealing people's stuff. I don't know why. It's just so much fun in Magic. It's like you use a bunch of cheap cards that nobody cares about to steal your opponent's cards, and their cards are like, you know, $20, $30, $40, and you beat them with your own deck and everything in there. Just like, yeah, it's all like 50-cent dollar cards, so my bad, bro. My bad. Mask of Gristlebrand. Equipped creature has flying and lifelink. This is going to be great to keep our life up, and then whenever the equipped creature dies, you can pay X life or X as a power. If you do, draw X cards. Fantastic. We can use this as a sacrifice outlet. And well, not a sacrifice outlet, but we can use one of our sacrifice outlets to trigger this if we need to get that draw going. Prowling Geist Catcher. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile it. If that creature was a token, which we do have some pretty decent token generators in here, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Prowling Geist Catcher. And then when he leaves the battlefield, return each exiled card with it to the battlefield under your control. So, this is actually a really, really good save card, right? So, let's say the board is loaded and this guy's out, and you have a sacrifice engine, right? And somebody drops a board wipe. All we have to do in response is sacrifice everything we have on our board. Doesn't matter if it's a token, if it's a regular creature, the board's going to get wiped, and then he's going to leave the battlefield, and you're going to return each exiled creature right back to the battlefield under your control. Fantastic save right there. You don't get a whole lot of those in mono black like that. You do, but I guess you do, but they're mostly single target, like when this creature dies this turn, blah blah blah. You get those kind of things. Never so much so where you can repeat it constantly and get that full board wipe save. Alright, Soul Ripper. We've got another vehicle here. When he attacks, you can sacrifice another artifact or creature, and you're going to put +1/+1 counters on him, and it's going to gain menace until end of turn. So over time, this guy can really get beefed up, especially if you're utilizing those food tokens, you're utilizing your treasure tokens that you're going to be building throughout the game. It's going to be fantastic. Body Launderer. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, he's going to connive. So connive, you're basically going to look at the top card of your library, throw it into your graveyard, and he's going to get +1/+1. And then whenever he dies, you're going to return another non-rogue creature card with equal or less power from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty freaking good. Pretty good. It's going to give you nice card advantage. He's going to get pumped up pretty well. He's going to have Death Touch. Does it say he gets Menace too? No Menace, unfortunately. That'd be cool. Menace or Flying. Alright, Invoke Despair. I mean, we're going to go pick on somebody. That's all we're going to do. Tenacious Underdog. I mean, come on, guys. It wouldn't be a Sheoldred themed deck if we didn't see Tenacious Underdog. This was such a powerhouse combo between the two. Sheoldred, Tenacious Underdog. You pay the 2 life. We don't care. You're gonna blitz him. He's gonna get sacrificed. You're gonna draw a card, and then Sheoldred's gonna proc off anyways, and you're gonna gain that life right back. Ashnod's Altar. Sacrifice creature. We're gonna add some Menaz. Ruthless Technomancer. When you enter the battlefield, sacrifice another creature you control. Man, there's so much sacrifice going on in this deck. This is wild. I hope we have enough creatures to go along with all the sacrifice. Absolutely. And if not, guess what? Let's just swap in some token generators. So if you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. That'd be great if we could just... this would work great in Rakdos. Let's just go steal somebody's like 2020 and then make 20 right. make freaking 20 treasure tokens. Oh, so evil. 3, sacrifice X artifacts, return target creature card with power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, very nice there. We can use up some of those artifacts that we've probably been building throughout the game. It'd be great for late game where we could probably bring back some combo pieces from our graveyard and use up a lot of those tokens that are most likely just sitting there. Alright, Blitzwing the Cruel Tormentor. You may cast this card, converted for 4. Okay, well, what's he convert into? At the beginning of your end step, target opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. If no life is lost this way, you're going to convert him. Oh, which works great with Quietus Spike, right? So whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life, rounded up. If you have him out on the battlefield, they're going to lose the same amount of life, so they're going to be dead. Great combo right there. Anyways, he is going to be at the beginning of combat on your turn. Choose Flying or Indestructible at random, and he's going to gain that ability until the end of turn. When he deals combat damage to a player, you're going to convert it. So he's really just going to be great for targeting people for life loss. So if we've got a good life loss going for a turn, we'll be able to utilize him and just make them double up that life loss. Elder Brain. When it attacks a player, exile all cards from that player's hands. Then they draw that many cards. You may play lands and cast spells from among the exiled cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana Zoa's mana of any color to cast it. Yeah. Just something about that just sounds so wrong on so many levels. I mean, we're gonna make them discard, and then they're gonna draw. So we're basically milling them, exiling their hand. So I hope they don't have anything really really good that they were hoping to play. Because if so, it's great because we're gonna play it. But that is such a bonkers card. Mono Black's so great for that. Anyways, Psychosis Crawler. Power and toughness are equal to the cards in your hand, and then whenever you draw a card, each opponent is going to lose 1 life. This is going to stack up greatly. Inspiring Statuary. Non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise. Honestly, we should have a great deal of draw going. So the fact that we have the ability to utilize the Improvise ability here is going to be pretty darn good. It is non-artifact spells, so all of our artifacts, we can just tap them down. So we can actually save our treasure tokens by just using them as rocks. Pretty freaking dope. Scavenge Brawler. I thought this was a fun one. So Flying, Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink. He's for 6/4/4. But you can exile him from your graveyard for 5, and you can re-give all of that to another creature. So, yeah. That's pretty fun. Let's drop that on our commander at some point. Mind's Eye. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1. If you do, you're going to draw a card too. I'm cool with that. I like drawing more cards, especially if we got good old Sheo out on the battlefield. Alright, from the Catacombs. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield you control with a corpse counter on it. You take the initiative. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. You can escape it for 5 and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. We're going to do that twice in a game. Ooh, that could be fun. Especially if we make somebody like just discard their entire hand. I mean, why not? Let's go. Alright, Karn Living Legacy. This is going to work great with the Improvise. So we're going to create those Power Stone tokens. If we're not utilizing the Power Stone tokens, we can always just sacrifice them away. And we will also get a emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. So let's make as many artifacts as we can, stack up that damage, get that emblem off. Sounds like a whole lot of fun. Alright, Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Not the Baggins. It's got Flash, it's got Menace. When there's battlefield, you're going to exile target creature card from an opponent's graveyard. It's put there this turn from the battlefield, and then you're going to create X creature tokens, where X is the exile card's power. Guys, did I mention how easy it is to get treasure tokens these days? It's crazy. I feel like everything has a treasure token attached to it. Alright. Vengeful Blood Witch. I mean, whenever a creature or another creature you control dies, this creature or another creature, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So let's just go sacrifice all those little creatures. Goldvein Pick. We're just going to make some treasure tokens. I love this card. Absolutely love this card. Draugr Necromancer. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it, and then you may cast spells from among cards and exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them. Spend mana from snow sources as though it were mana of any color to cast. I mean, you guys are getting the theme here about stealing people's stuff. So, Cosmos Elixir. This is going to work great with Sheoldred. So at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total. Otherwise, you gain 2 life. So our life total really should be higher than our starting life total for the majority of the game, especially if we've been drawing a ton with Sheoldred out. This is only just going to... It's just going to blow this out of proportion. So every turn, we're just going to keep gaining more life. And then people are going to lose life because we're gaining life. If you haven't noticed at this point, you might as well just throw in one of like 10 different life gain combos into this deck. It would be so easy. Alright, Burning Rune Demon. When he enters the battlefield, search your library for exactly 2 cards not named Burning Rune Demon that have different names. If you do, reveal those cards, and then an opponent chooses one of them. You get to put it in your hand and shuffle your library. The Mighty Servant of Luco. Luco? Alright. Ward, discard a card. Whenever it becomes crewed for the first time each turn, it feels crewed by 2 creatures. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw 2 cards. I mean, I like drawing 2 cards. Underworld Connections. Enchant land, pay 1 life, draw a card. Sounds good to me. Elderfang Disciple. Everybody's going to discard a card. Stronghold Assassin. I have not seen this card in so long. I can't even remember what set this is. That is Commander from so long ago. Alright, so tap, sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-black creature. I mean, exactly how it sounds. Gonna be good. Marionette Master. So you can fabricate 3 here. We can make some servos, or we could put 3 +1/+1 counters on her. And then whenever an artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to her power. So we have all those treasure tokens we've been using. If we pump her up and continue pumping her up and make her power high enough, we could just direct damage with all those treasure tokens we're sacrificing off, even if we're not going to use the mana. You essentially could go lethal on somebody with that Marionette Master. Mid-game, easy. As an additional cost to cast, eliminate the competition. We're going to sacrifice X creatures and destroy X creatures. Yawgmoth Blood, Sky, Sire, Death Touch. And you can boast for 2. Target player searches their library for a card, shuffles their library, and puts that card on top of it. Clearly that's going to be us, so yeah. We're basically going to go search for whatever we want, and then most likely we're gonna... Oh, I guess we're just going to draw it, most likely. So, Enduring Tenacity. Great card. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. We're going to be gaining life every single turn if we're playing Sheo, which is usually the goal here. But even if we're not, we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and then we do have plenty of additional life gain. But I have a feeling that Sheo is going to be a good pick to get into this deck. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. So put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and then you're going to destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. And we're going to have to exile this. Nice little fight. There's so much value in that for a 5-drop. Abhorrent Overlord. Alright, get this thing on the battlefield as many times as you can. If you're going to recur this thing, fantastic. And it is a 6/6 demon. It is a big 7-drop. But that's fine because we could probably improvise this or use up one of the million tokens that we've been creating treasure-wise. So when there's battlefield, put a number of 1/1 black harpy creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield equal to your devotion in black. He is a 6/6 with flying as well. And his devotion is 2. So if you guys aren't familiar with devotion is equal to the number of mana symbols in the casting cost of your permanents. So if you have 2 there, plus your commander, and then we've got our background on the battlefield, so that would 4, so we would get 4 harpy tokens. Oh man. Alright. Coming down to the end, we've got Dread Horde Invasion. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and you amass 1. So we're going to create a zombie creature token, or if we already have a zombie creature army creature token, we're going to add a +1/+1 counter, and then if a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains life link until end of turn. Honestly, we're probably just going to use this as a sacrifice outlet. So we're going to use those creatures that are getting reproduced, and we're just going to sacrifice them away. And then we have Midnight Reaper. This was actually a really good card in Standard. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, it's going to deal 1 damage to you, and you're going to get to draw a card. Not a big deal. We're going to gain the 2 life, right? Never return. Wait, no. Please return, guys. This is the last card in the deck. Don't listen to this card. Alright? destroy target creature or planeswalker for 3. Pretty straightforward removal there. It is at sorcery speed. And then return, so we can aftermath this from our graveyard for 4. And we're going to exile a target card from a graveyard and create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So a little bit of value there. We're going to have some exile from a graveyard later on, so if there's something we want to get rid of, if somebody is playing Recur. And we're also going to get a token, which we're probably just going to sacrifice off. Alright guys, that's the deck. That's pretty much the theme. Mono Black's so fun to build. There are just so many things you can do with Mono Black, from steal people's stuff. I mean, that's probably not fun for them. It's probably more fun for me. But you can steal people's stuff. And let's go ahead and pull a black land. I got one right here. So we got black land there right on top. You can go mill. I mean, you can go mini tokens, zombies. There's just so many things to do with Mono Black. And it's a lot of control in there too. So, graveyard recursion. Oh, just thinking back to all the good past times. But hope you guys like the deck. Daniel, it's on its way to you, or you might already have it depending on when this video goes live and the cards arrive. So, appreciate everybody. If you're interested in this content, you enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Patreon as well. This is offered only to the patrons of the channel for $60. I mean, as I say all the time, lands alone, I mean, you're looking at minimum 50 cents a land. It gets ridiculous, so you're automatically looking at $20 plus in just lands. So it does go to supporting the channel as well. There are plenty of other good cards in here. And I put a lot of thought and time and care. So, hope you guys enjoy. Till next time.